Hello jugglers! Today I am going to show you several patterns, variations of the regular 3-ball cascade, siteswap 3, with some cross-armed action. Now all of these patterns I'm going to show you are very similar to the traditional Mills mess, which looks like this. However, they are not the traditional Mills mess. Before trying to learn any of the patterns I'm going to demonstrate in this video, it is important that you are very comfortable with the traditional Mills mess. And you'll notice each ball in the Mills mess pattern has its own specific path. Right now the blue ball is going back and forth, making somewhat of an N shape. And we'll call that the N ball. In regular Mills mess, the N ball is always caught by the top hand. The yellow ball, making sort of a U shape, I call that the U ball. And you'll notice in the regular Mills mess, the U ball is always an under the wrist throw. And now the third ball, the red ball, is going back and forth as a regular type of reverse cascade style throw, I guess. And it always gets caught under the wrist as the arms are crossed. And it makes sort of a figure 8 shape, so I call that the figure 8 ball. The first variation I am going to show you, I think it's the most difficult of all the variations in this video. However, I think it's the coolest. Now, in this variation, it's just like a regular Mills mess, but the N ball, in this case it's the blue ball, instead of always being thrown and caught from the top hand, it will always be thrown and caught from the bottom hand. And the U ball, in this case, is the yellow ball. In regular Mills mess, it's thrown under the hand and then caught with the hands uncrossed. In this pattern, the U ball will be thrown, and instead of under the wrist, it'll be thrown from over the wrist and then caught with the arms uncrossed. Now, one way that you can get into this pattern is from the regular Mills mess. Now watch the blue N ball as it approaches the right side of my body. Instead of catching it by reaching over with my left hand, I'm simply going to reach my left hand under. And then just focus on always throwing the N ball from under the wrist and always catching it under the wrist. And the other two balls should sort themselves out as long as you just keep juggling the Mills mess style pattern. If you're unable to learn this pattern from my brief explanation and from Slow-Mo Guy's demonstration, then perhaps you're not ready to learn this pattern and you might find some of the patterns later on in the video a little bit easier. The next variation, I've heard some people call it Flo's mess. I call it the reach over. But really, you can call it whatever the hell you want because nobody cares, or at least I don't care what you call it. So that pattern looks like this. And how you can go about learning this pattern, it's fairly easy. Just from a regular 3-ball cascade, throw a ball up on the outside. When you throw that ball up on the outside, you throw a ball up on the outside on the other side and reach that empty hand across. Catch the ball, drag it through the pattern, throw it on the other side of the pattern, and repeat. So that would look like this. Throw one up on the outside, reach over to catch it, and then pull it through the pattern and repeat on the other side. Now, if you're a pretty decent 3-ball juggler, you don't really have to worry about what the other 2 balls are doing. It's siteswap 3, so it's just right, left, right, left, right, left. Just focus on throwing a ball on the outside, reach over to catch it, carry it across, and do the same on the other side, and you should be able to learn this pattern fairly easily. The next pattern is the exact same as the reach over, but it's a reach under. So you can probably imagine what that would look like. It's the same as the last pattern I showed you, but instead of reaching over to catch the outside ball, you reach under and make an under the wrist catch. So from a regular 3-ball cascade, throw one up on the outside and then reach under and catch it under the wrist. Now this is the same as the last pattern, just with a reach under instead of over. However, it might be slightly more difficult, but if you learn the first pattern okay, then you really shouldn't have too much trouble learning the reach under. There is a technique that can be applied to both the reach under and the reach over to give us two more exciting siteswap 3 variations. I'll show it to you with the reach over first. Now, normally you would throw a ball on the outside of your pattern, reach over, catch it, drag it across, and throw it on the outside of the pattern again. This time you're going to want to throw it as an inside throw. So instead of throwing it all the way on the outside of the pattern, throw it between the other two balls in the pattern. So that would look like this. Normally, with the reach over, you reach over and throw the yellow ball on the outside of the pattern. This time, you're going to want to throw it as an inside throw, like this. So instead of the yellow ball being thrown on the outside, it's thrown between the other two balls. And that also works with the reach under. And this variation, I think, looks really cool. So throw the yellow ball up on the outside, and reach under to catch it. And now, instead of always throwing it on the outside, throw it as an inside throw in between the other two balls in the pattern, and you get this cool looking variation. With every juggling pattern, there is a time-reversed version. Now watch my twin brother over here. Right now he's juggling a regular Mills mess. We're going to slow him down, and then stop, and reverse. So right now, I have used my superhuman powers to actually reverse time. The footage here is playing backwards. And this is the time-reversed Mills mess. Now, there is a way to juggle that pattern without actually reversing time, because really that's impossible. But it is possible to juggle a time-reversed Mills mess. One way you can learn it is think of it as a variation of the reach under, which I demonstrated earlier in the video. Now, normally in the reach under, you would throw an outside throw, and then you make a throw with the other hand and reach under with the empty hand and make the catch. This time, instead of reaching under with an empty hand, you're going to want to still have a ball in your hand as you reach under and then make the exchange there. So from a regular cascade, throw one up on the outside, reach under holding a ball, and then make the exchange, and make sure the under the wrist throw is somewhat of an inside throw. It's going to go between the other two balls in the pattern. And that looks like this. If you're having trouble learning this, there's a handy 2-ball exercise that might help you. Make a throw straight up, and then reach under holding a ball, and then make the exchange there. So that looks like this. Practice that on both sides, and hopefully that should help you to learn the time-reversed Mills mess. There are still several variations to all of the variations that I've shown you in this video. So use your imagination, throw in some claw catches or whatnot, and try to come up with even more variations. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, happy juggling.